Thank you so much for joining me, Kathryn. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honoured to be asked to contribute towards Project Bijou. So I've heard lots of fantastic things from other contributors over the past year. So yeah, I'm delighted to be here today.
Oh, well, you're our very first contributor for 2024, so it's
Fantastic.
very exciting to speak with you in particular. But I just wanted to know, tell me a little bit about your data protection journey. What drew you to it in the first place?
Yeah, so I think I have quite a similar story to other people in the data protection world. So I'll be perfectly honest, it wasn't really something that was on my radar until, I won't say 2018. It was before that because during that time I was actually working for a telemarketing um, and digital marketing agency where we outsourced lead generation to lots of different companies and bought in data lists from data brokers and then marketed to leads and qualified them and essentially sold them on to those to our clients. So it wasn't really anything that was on my radar until it was announced, which was probably in around 2016, 2017 when they started talking about it. And at the time, I was an account director, and be perfectly honest, we thought this will just sink the business. We won't be able to continue working in the way that we are. So we went on a journey for the business, and also, individually I went on a journey to discovering and learning about data protection and what that meant for us as a business and what that meant as for myself as an individual and my roles and responsibilities, and went on numerous online courses, with the ICO and anyone else that was offering them at the time, to understand how we could pivot the business to make it work, and we did. And I came through that 18-month period thinking, oh, I really like this. Like, I really love this. And so my bosses, the owners of the business, said, we need a DPO. You really like it. Do you want to do it? Which we now know is, you couldn't do that now because it's a conflict of interest. But I said, yeah, let's go for it. So I then transitioned into being the data protection officer for that business when I was there. And it just sparked something in me, this passion that I haven't felt for a very long time with my work. I was really thriving in what I was doing. I loved the world of sales and marketing, but I was looking for something a little bit more, and this sparked something inside of me that I hadn't, I'd kind of been craving a little bit for. And I think just me as a person, I have this, I'm naturally drawn to order and organization and structure. And I have this kind of, passion for process and following these things just naturally inside, internally. I think, if you look back, I used to like play games with my friends at school, which was like organizing their desk drawers at home, when I had play dates, which, made me all the fun. But yeah, so I think there's something inside of me where I just kind of am drawn to that sort of way of working. But beyond that now, it's about giving individuals the freedom and the knowledge and the choice with their data. My background is a telemarketing background, a sales and marketing background. And I did, when I was first getting into that world, I did work for companies that were calling en masse, looking for people who had been victim to mis-sold PPI or debt collection companies, where you had 400 calls dropping into your dialer system a day, and you were just calling anybody and trying to get a hit on somebody that may be eligible for a claim. And it was soul destroying for myself, and it felt wrong to the individuals as well, and it was a really brutal way of working. Now we know better, and giving individuals the freedom to say, no, I'm not okay with you doing this with my data, and I want to know who it is being shared with, and I want to have the choice to restrict or limit that. because it's my data and I want to do the best thing and be more control of my digital footprint.
So, I mean, that's a role that really has evolved quite considerably then since you started it in sort of, well, I guess 6 years ago now.
Yes, 6 years plus, I'd say, because the UK GDPR came into play in May 2018, which is 6 years ago this year. But it predates that because it was 18 months, 2 years on the lead up to that where I went on this journey of discovery. So actively working in the world of data protection, 6 years, yep, absolutely. But understanding it and learning it and adapting my working practice to evolve to fit that has been I'd say 8 years now.
And what are the main challenges that you tend to find in your role?
Well, I wrote down. I think the key thing, the big things that come up. Not now, because I've been with where I am for over 2.5 years now, and we've gone on a big journey to try and change mindsets and approach to data protection and not be seen as innovation stoppers or progress blockers or gatekeepers, or the DPO will just say no. Changing that mindset of we want to be seen as a strategic partner, an ally, as being able to understand a challenge or a problem and present a solution, having a sleeves rolled up mentality where you can go, okay, well, in accordance with data protection laws, you're bound by this, but actually if we do it in this way, it's the right way of doing it. And so being a collaborator is really important, and I think that there has been a big change in that mindset over the last couple of years. And if you go back probably about 3 years, it still very much seemed like the data protection team would be the blocker and progress.
And so, yeah, and sort of following on from that, what are the common misconceptions that you tend to see regarding data protection?
So, yeah, probably that, bearers of bad news. I don't want to be darkening anyone's doorway, and people to have this kind of approach where it's like, quickly, we need to have this project, we need to go live, don't tell our data protection team. We will find out, and actually engaging with us and bringing us into the conversation early is just so much more effective for both parties. So we're not there to stop projects or get in the way. We're there to make sure that it can be done within the boundaries of the law.
And you're definitely on a mission to change how DP teams are perceived. And as you said, getting in there early is always better for outcomes for everybody. So how else do you go about doing this?
So for us, where I am at the moment, we're relatively small. Not relatively, we are a small data protection team. There's only 2 of us covering an international business where we support multiple partnerships in the US, EU, and the UK as well, and globally international students that come and study with us either in person, so on campus, or online. So our organisation is complex, and we have 2 people supporting the entire organisation. So myself and then my colleague who covers data governance and risk management. We recognise that could prevent us from putting privacy on the agenda in all the areas that we needed to. And we appreciate that we can't be in every conversation, every meeting across the board. So we recruited a network of volunteers called our Privacy Champions. That was something we introduced just over a year ago. And that's people from every team, every department who have, a passion for process, who are interested on the principles of data protection, who are at those meetings and are able to put privacy matters on the agenda. Now, we're very careful with how we market these privacy champions, because what we don't want it to be seen as is anything like are eyes and ears, and they're trying to catch people out of doing things. Again, a misconception with privacy champions is that they're kind of trying to find fault where fault may not be happening. Not that at all. It's just being able to put those really important topics on the table when they need to be discussed, or to be able to signpost individuals to us or to our resources should they need it. People have questions around, like PECA, for example. If a sales and marketing person has questions around subscriptions or consent, then what do we have in our catalogue or our library of resources that could be shared with them? Or if the team, feels that they need to have a bit of training and would appreciate us coming in and delivering that to them, putting that on the agenda and being able to say, hey, I know the data protection team have a module on this. Do you think it'd be worthwhile them coming in and delivering some training? And also being able to tell people if there is a data incident, or they have a concern, or they've spotted a vulnerability, or they just have something they think needs to be raised with us, that they have the quickest and most direct link to us as well. So that has really helped us be more present and get people talking about data protection on a global basis, rather than kind of being very siloed to our Cambridge head office, which is where we're based.
Because that's what strikes me from the DPOs that I speak to, is the sheer scale of the task that they have ahead of them. And often, they are working in silos, or, they're not sort of incorporated in sort of across the teams and the divisions. And that seems to be why it's almost mission impossible at times. And especially when data protection's increasingly on the agenda through lots of different things, kind of increasing digitalization of the workplace and AI and all these sorts of things, it just seems to me that you have an insurmountable workload.
Yes, absolutely. The goalpost is always moving, right? You never reach full compliancy. And I think, again, moving back to that comment, what I said on mindset, it's changing the key stakeholders mindset on what data protection means for the organization. It doesn't mean 100% compliancy, because, to be perfectly honest, we're never going to get there. No organization or no individual person is ever 100% compliant, because there is always a change. The landscape is always changing. There is always a new regulation coming along the lines. We know now more than ever that we are so integrated with the world of information security and tech and IT, and that is such a movable counterpart at the moment. It's simply impossible to keep up with those trends, and we still haven't got any clear, solid guidelines around things like AI. So we're kind of cobbling something together based on what we already know. What do we know about AI, and where are the pitfalls in that? What can we do to recognize that early on, such as adapting any data protection impact assessments or privacy impact assessments that we may run, being transparent with our use of it on our privacy notices, having some kind of statement, internal, external, and just being ready to write a policy if and when we're going to be in a position to do that. But it's so slow to catch up with the progress of it that it makes things very difficult. So explaining that in a way that doesn't create fear, or a lack of confidence, creates a lack of confidence in your data protection team is really key. And finding that right approach with the stakeholders and how you communicate that, no, we don't have an AI policy, but this is what we're going to do about it. Yes, I am aware of this, but this is what we're doing about it. No, we can't ever be 100% compliant, because and so that form of communication is really key. And that's what I feel elevates you then from a seemingly traditional data protection person to a strategic, somebody at strategy level who can be a real kind of player into leading the company organization down the path that you want to kind of lead it down with those practices. And I'd just say as well, it's another common thing that I hear from other people, or questions that I have, is around, how can you get to 0 reported incidents? Well, again, you never will. You know, and we're not talking about breaches here, we're talking about incidents. And as a data protection specialist, we need to hear about every single thing, whether it's a vulnerability, an issue, a concern, this just doesn't seem right. All of that needs to come through to us. So if we go to a month without any reported incidents, I'd be more worried about that than 10 reported incidents in the month. And I always say it's a little bit like the children going quiet downstairs. You know, you suddenly think, what's happened?
Trouble's brewing.
Something's brewing. So again, that mindset shift, you know, we'll never get to 0, but that's not a bad thing. We shouldn't be measured on the number. We should be measured on our approach to resolving and that time it's taken for us to find a solution to fix.
So just finally, if you could achieve, I mean, it's just such a, it's a constant challenge, isn't it? It's a constant journey. But if you could achieve one thing in your DP career, or fix one thing, or find one solution, what would it be?
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so the thing that I love the most is training and awareness. That really is the thing that I am most passionate about. I get a lot from engaging with audiences, whether that be in person or virtually, and seeing that then applied to day-to-day life. I want training to be adapted so it's a bit more fun and engaging and not, you know, branches away from that mandatory tick box compliance. Yes, my team has set data protection training. So I want to see data protection training or privacy training to be as desirable as what you may see marketing training as. If somebody was giving a training seminar on how to use your socials to create, you know, in the best possible way for your personal branding, I'd want to see data protection training for somebody to go, yes, that is as desirable as that subject matter, because it goes beyond the 9 to 5. Data protection is everywhere and should be applied at all times for ourselves as individuals and for the organisation. And that's the mindset I want to create.
It's a brilliant answer. I really like that analogy, and I think it's so true as well. And actually, as you said, it encompasses all aspects of a business, not just sort of, you know, one side of things. People say data protection and they glaze over, but it's so much. It just needs a rebranding. But
I think you're absolutely right. I use that word rebranding all the time. You know, just if something's not, if you've hit a blocker with how your message is coming across, rebrand it. Like DPIAs, I feel like every time I mention a DPIA, there's this glazed over, like, oh no, like they're going to run this due diligence check that is just going to take forever and ask me all these questions that I really don't know about. So rebrand it. We changed it to a risk, impact, and accountability
yeah,
assessment, because that essentially is what it was, well, what it is. And you know, it just helps kind of just shift that thinking slightly. And sometimes that's all that's needed. It's just a change of approach, reframing it as something else, and packaging it up a little bit differently, still with the same outcome. It doesn't matter if you call it something else. We can call it DPIA internally, because if the ICO want to know about it or we're audited for any point, for any reason, we've got that. But to the other, to the audience, those that we want to engage with it, you know, call it something that's going to be meaningful for them. Make it relevant to the person you're speaking to, and not just have it as one size fits all, because it's not. You know, data protection needs to be adapted and tweaked for the person that you're speaking to. My training is going to be very different to marketing teams when I'm and very different to finance teams. You know,
yeah,
I couldn't deliver the same training that to those individuals. But similarly, I should, you know, it should be absolutely optional for the finance team to come see the marketing training, and vice versa, just to understand, you know, the challenges that, you know, each department are going on. You know, there should be that collaboration, there should be that synergy. We're all working for the same common goals,
yeah.
and that's to make a successful and meaningful business. and to support the people that are supporting us. So yeah,